Obviously, in the classroom, we've battled a lot of ideologies. But what I've said is that the state of Florida is the place where woke goes to die. We are not going to let this state. We're not going to let this state descend into some type of woke dumpster fire.
That was Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis apparently trying to reframe his civics education initiative in Florida as a moral battle. There will be no woke dumpster fire in Ron DeSantis' Florida. Put it on a license plate. Of course, what the governor is doing here is drawing a line between alleged woke leftist values and his state's American, which is state Christian, virtues and values. It is a theme that comes up repeatedly in the state's civics trainings for educators. Back with us is Jelani Cobb, Dean of the Columbia Journalism School. Jelani, what is the utility of overlaying this moral instruction over what is a sort of cultural battle that Governor DeSantis would like to have?
So, I mean, generally speaking, if you're talking to the public, people don't want nuance. They want stark lines. They want to be told, to be illustrated that the distinctions are absolutely clear and unerring. And so by framing this as woke, and also kind of woke has become a kind of drinking game.
Yeah.
You know, like just toss that word out as many times as you can. And by framing it as a metaphor for everything that you find contemptible, you're able to make the case implicitly for what it is that you're trying to do. That these people are unchristian, that they are immoral, that they are the opposite of you, and in fact that you should be afraid of them in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, the Christian, many teachers said to the press, to us, that the Christian nationalism thread flowed throughout that. And it seems to be a really convenient tool from which you can, there are a number of different, it's an arsenal that is a rich arsenal, if you will, for a number of convenient theories.
Well, it's cynical in a particular way because in trying to break down the wall between church and state, it's not an attempt to break down the wall between synagogue and state. It's not an attempt to break down the wall between mosque and state. It's a very specific attempt to reframe the nation itself as the kind of default Christian state.
Yes.
And you should be upfront about that. This is not talking about kind of freedom of religion, but the primacy of one specific religious doctrine.
Did it surprise you that they were so explicit in their civics trainings about originalism and that literally it's a picture of Antonin Scalia? I mean, it wasn't even subtle to me, but I wonder if it surprised you at all.
It's not surprising because we saw this kind of assault begin, even in the kind of middle of the Trump years, where people began trying to frame any kind of the anti-racist, trainings that people were doing in the Department of Justice and various institutions that, government institutions, to try to frame them as ideological indoctrination.
Yeah.
And that created a rationale to do the opposite, a kind of counter-indoctrination. And so it was almost always, especially the kind of manifold lies around what critical race theory is. It was opening the door for exactly this kind of thing.